podcasty things.
This is how we do it. Anyway.
Did you know, before we go any further, that song resulted in a man getting fired once?
What?
Yep. He was
Talk about fucking coming in hard, but go on.
Repeatedly warned by his HR department to stop going around the glue factory where he worked singing "This is how we glue it." Multiple warnings before he was fired. And what I love about that story is that the first time HR warned him, he went, "No, just can't resist. This is how we glue it in the glue factory." What a legend. Anyway, there's your hot start. We are back.
Yeah, we're back. There's a lot. We touched on the Europa League last week, and United and Spurs. They were both absolutely awful at the weekend. We have Crystal Palace winning a cup and saving football from the grips of state-run City, and fuck them guys. We have the semi-final. I'm saying it. I don't care. We have
Boo! Boos and seagull noises intensify. We do not like this Palace situation. Not one little bit.
We love
not
Palace.
For the reason you think. It's not.
We've also got Palace. The semi-final in our league where I've fucked it. We've also got the eliminator where I've unfucked it.
Who are you
with possibly the greatest transfer of the year. And yeah, lots of happening. So where do you want to start?
For anyone who's listening and not watching, under my face it says Jimi 84, John 45. For no reason at all, other than that's the current score in our semi-final, where John is getting a bit of a kicking. No, I've got no problem with Crystal Palace. I know I'm supposed to feel some sort of manufactured rivalry with them because I'm a Brighton fan. I'm just a little annoyed that there's now not a handy 8th slot opened up. Because had City won, and stop me if I'm wrong here, gentlemen, had City won, Brighton's prospects of European football would be looking a lot nicer. Whereas now we're relying on Chelsea losing. Chelsea have to lose, City need 4 points, and Brighton have to finish 8th. Whereas it would have been 8th or 9th if it's also very messy. But now in week 37, I'm starting to understand it. But that's the FA Cup. We don't care about that. Well done, Crystal Palace. There, I said it.
Well, see, it's relevant for us because I'm quite stacked with Palace, and Palace obviously have a lovely game at the end of the season of a Liverpool who've been in Dubai on the absolute raz for the last 2 weeks. And now my Crystal Palace players are useless. So I have Mark Gahey, who obviously came off the pitch crippled after just some mountain defending, which I could have done with on fucking Thursday night. He missed the celebrations with Adam Wharton because he was in the hospital getting checked out, which is an awful shame. So he's screwed. So he's out of my team. I have Eze, who is definitely partying like a rock star after scoring the winning goal in an FA Cup final. So he's useless for me. And it's just the other player I have is Alisson, who has also been on the booze over in Dubai. So I'm screwed.
I don't think you are, not necessarily. I think Eberechi has shown us over and over again that he is capable of performing. And at this point, it's not about football skill or tactics. It's about, do we believe that these young men can handle their hangovers and go?
The thing is, though, if you look at the Premier League table, Palace are currently in 12th, and they are 4 points ahead of Everton, and they are 4 points behind Bournemouth. So no matter whether they win, lose, or draw, and the other teams all win, lose, or draw, they're going to finish in 12th place. So...
Yep. So they're on their holidays now that they've won a cup for the first time in the club's history. Eze is a hero for that club. I don't care. Like, he could rock up on Thursday night and play, but that man's been on the booze for the past 4 days, and I can't blame him. It just means that my prospects of beating you in the semi-final are in the bin.
I think so, yeah. And I say that not being smug, because I like when things go to the wire. I like the drama of it all. But I think if we're realistic at this point, you have a one-player advantage, theoretically. But your one player is actually 2 subs. And frankly, one of them is Trent and one of them is Youngfla Kluivert. So that's not really an advantage at all. I'm just going down through your team. Guehi's bodied, Eze's on the set, Haaland is on a cold streak. I think Luis Diaz might be your great shining hope. Alisson, did you say something about an injury there?
No, he's just been on the booze.
Or is he just on the set?
Yeah. So is Diaz. So,
but look, there's worries at my side as well. To be honest with you, Matoma's patchy and he's been unwell lately. Huijsen's just been sold, I think. So
yep,
he
50
may
million
end up
to Real Madrid. Done deal.
50 million, 20 minutes after I fucking set him on my lineup. Excuse my French. So I don't think there's much joy there. Jose Sa is Jose Sa. Never know what you get. Mo isn't exactly firing right now. I think this is good. Oh wait, no, never mind. I'm winning by 40. Yeah, I'll be all right. Yeah, if we were on level points right now, I would say we had an interesting matchup coming. But honestly, we just don't. I think I've got you, Jay, and that's okay, and that's pretty uncontroversial. I mean, I'm always in the final. That's my thing. You can start talking about he who shall not be named from Spain with the London accent, but I'm always in the final, losing it. Over the other semi, I'm a little disappointed in one of our co-hosts because he dropped the ball mighty hard on his own fucking toe this week.
Yes, he did.
Our little
He's
Dermot.
going to get upset about this.
No, Jimmy's right. He did drop the ball.
He did. Look, he broke a rule. For those who have not been with us through the legal battles of this season, we agreed through two rather large, in-depth discussions that you had to have one of each position on your bench. Otherwise, you get no points for your bench because it's an illegal bench. And in classic Toulouse fashion, we were hammering it out as we go. Luckily, Statr is much more organised than that. But as it stands, Uncle Dermot is playing on 11-man starting lineup only against Dave, who's on 11 starting and 7 subs like everybody else who did it right. And Dermot's losing. He's got 4 left to play. He's 16 points behind. He has Munoz, Palace problem. Van Dijk, Liverpool problem. Guardiol, no problem there. And De Bruyne, who now has a Haaland problem in front of him, blocking all the attacking chances. Whereas Dave has Cook, Semenyo, and Cunha, although very fresh news has Cunha off the map potentially for that match. And he also has Darwin Núñez on the bench, which is where he belongs. So I think it's going to be myself and Dave in the final. You could see a bit of De Bruyne and Guardiola magic there if Bournemouth have a bad night. Not over by any means. I will beat either of them in the final. It's going to be grand. And in the Elim, John is now 35 points, a kind of a static 35 points ahead. And it's like I catch up a little and you go a little bit further. I don't think you're going to finish the week with that kind of margin because you have Haaland and Diaz against my Guardiola, Munoz, De Bruyne, Diaz, and Salah. So I think I'm going to take a chunk out of that 35. I'm not hugely confident in anybody I've just named to have like a 50-point week. And Jack has Eze, Mateta, and Henderson. So the entire Crystal Palace lineup.
Actually, just even on Henderson, can we discuss this?
Yeah.
Can we discuss the elephant in the room, Dean? Red,
yellow? That was a red, wasn't it? That was red.
It was like he handled it outside the box. It was a red, regardless of whether like it was on. If it was a deliberate handball, like it doesn't matter whether the ball is going towards the goal or not. Like that's a red card. You know, I don't really know how the referees interpreted the way that it was, but
it was only an FA Cup final. They didn't want to ruin the game. That's what happened there.
Yeah, maybe.
To me, that's what happened there. They went, it's 20-odd minutes into an FA Cup final. It's a sketchy handball. Maybe it was going away from the goal or whatever, but it's a red. And they bottled it. And then he goes on and saves a pen later.
Yeah,
it couldn't happen to a nicer team. In fairness, I'm delighted it happened to Man City because there's been no news on the. Well, like the season's over next week, we still haven't heard about the City charges and what's happening there, and just like they can't be going home with another trophy. Couldn't happen to like I've been seeing things online going, Palace, you should be delighted you cheated your way to a trophy, and every other fan base is obviously weighing in on that, going cheating, really. You really want to reach and broach that topic of all clubs?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a good look for Pep when he, at the end of extra time, or not extra time, but at the end of the game, it was the worst thing that Haaland ever did this season was say stay humble. It has come back to bite them about 50 times this season, and at the end of the FA Cup, I mean, just stay humble, Pep. You've won everything. You won a treble a couple of years back, arguably one of the greatest managers of all time, and you lost to a team who just won their first ever major trophy. I know it was Dean Henderson of all players, and I'm sure you've said well done to other players, but come on, just give them,
This is his thing that he does. It's the fucking arrogance of it. I'm sorry, we talk about the other Spanish lad being arrogant, but this guy insists on the end of every game going over and talking to opposition players as if he's their manager, as if the whole sport is just kind of his remit. Get back in your box, you bald prick.
Yeah, no, I was definitely just.
Do you know what it is? Henderson, literally, you could hear it on the camera. It's like, you got your 10 minutes. What's your problem? Because he was obviously giving out to him for time wasting tactics, the penalty, the red card, and Henderson just goes, "You got your 10 minutes. What's your problem?" And sure, that just set him the fuck off.
Look,
He looks like
I imagine the man is in trouble now. With no silverware this year?
Amanda's in trouble? No, he just signed a new trophy or contract.
He signed a new trophy at the start of the year. They've won nothing. And remember, they spent 200 million in January.
Yeah.
Like Amorim got 15 million to spend in January. Arteta got next to nothing to spend in January. Slot didn't do anything in January. City went and dropped 200 million. 200 million in January is bananas.
Yeah, in January, yeah. That's crazy for summer windows. You know, that's big money in summer windows.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah.
When they dropped it in January to end the season with a grand total of fuck all. So stay humble, you dickheads.
Speaking of summer transfers, we have some news, don't we?
There's a few.
There's a few flying in and out now, and it barely out of Easter, and fellas are packing their bags and moving along. An awful lot of it already. A lot of it today.
Let's speed run a couple. We have Trent, Madrid. We have Frimpong gone to Liverpool, 30 million release clause done as medical today. What a signing at that price, by the way. Like, should be high up the drafting orders next year. Like, that's a good signing. You've got Dean Huijsen, who's obviously sadly going to leave the league, but he's also going to be joining Trent over at the Bernabeu next year. And then about 2 hours ago, the news dropped that Cunha is confirmed to go to United. United are going to meet the release clause. The personal terms are all agreed. So they're just going to basically hit the release clause next week, and the deal will be done. That's it.
Yeah.
Is Cunha the answer?
No.
He supposedly doesn't have a very good attitude. It's very difficult to be optimistic as a United fan. You know, I mean, we don't need a player, we need players. But the two things that United have done very poorly this season is, number one, keep out goals, and number two, scoring goals.
Two very important things for football.
Yeah. So the other thing,
the stats agree.
The good thing is, I mean, like, what, Cunha has 15 goals in 32 games, I think, this Premier League season. So the thing is, it's Premier League proven. That's what we need. We signed Zirkzee last year. He hasn't done much, although I am optimistic about his future. Højlund needs to be third choice next season behind behind Cunha as number one and Zirkzee as number two. And also, if we get your man Gyökeres, you know, I mean,
Gyökeres is not the answer. You go get Osimhen.
Osimhen has got such a bad attitude. Napoli have been loaning him out the past 2 seasons. They don't even.
They wanted to sell him, and he wanted to go. And your man that owns Napoli wanted crazy money that nobody was willing to pay.
But then why do you put him out on loan? I suppose
because you're like, nah. You said you wanted to go, off you pop.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I would prefer the player who's got a relationship with our manager over a player who allegedly has got such a bad attitude.
For the money you're going to pay on Gyökeres, he's not. He's good. Don't get me wrong.
I think he's only about 65 million or something.
Yeah, 65 million for a fella who's 26 is playing in the Portuguese league. The last couple of strikers who've come out of the Portuguese league are João Felix and Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, well, again, I bring it back to the fact that he has history with Ruben. So, the thing that Ruben has done this season for me is that he tried to force a style of play with players that it just wasn't working with, and he clearly isn't willing to bend.
Why should you?
Because you're fucking 16th in the league or 15th in the league.
Yeah, but the other guy was changing his structure and his beliefs and his principles to suit the team, and look how well that was doing.
Yeah. But my point being is that obviously Gyökeres is proven to be able to work in his system. So I prefer to get a striker who is proven to be able to work in the system and is a proven goal scorer over a player who. I mean, Osimhen could work in that system maybe, but I would prefer to go with a guy who's proven to be able to work in it. Who's got a relationship with the manager.
Osimhen has played in a 3-4-3 at Napoli. He's been the number 9 in that. He's a goal machine. I would prefer him solely because I think the money that you're going to spend on Gyökeres, he'll be good. But I don't think he'll ever live up to the price tag. I think it's more of a price tag issue there for what you'll get. He'll score probably 15-odd goals a season. United need an Osimhen who's a bit of a dick and he'll just score goals. But
the problem is, again, like I said earlier, Cunha also is supposed to have a bit of an attitude problem. Like, do you want 2 strikers in your team who both have attitude problems, who possibly won't be able to work well with?
Team who has no bottle, no bollocks.
Yeah, but you want to have your players just have a good work relationship with the manager. And again, I would go with the fact that We don't even know if these players will come to United yet. Like, I don't even know why we're making this
No,
argument.
Gyökeres has gone to Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Gyökeres seems to be very, very gone to Arsenal, according to the press.
He's linked everywhere. He is a good striker. I'm not saying he's a bad striker. I just think for the money you're going to spend on him, he's not going to get the goal return that would be expected of a striker of that price.
I don't know. Arsenal have been very good at turning strikers into lots of goals.
Gyökeres has 39 goals in 33 games this season.
In the Portuguese league, where
it's still 39 goals.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
And like, whereas isn't Osimhen playing in the Turkish league? That's less competitive than the Portuguese league. So I mean,
I wouldn't say that.
Your argument, I feel like your argument you're making against Gyökeres, you're making like you also said a minute ago, like Gyökeres is 26 years old. Osimhen is also 26-year-old. The argument you're making against Gyökeres, you can make the very same argument.
Osimhen has done it at Napoli in a bigger league. He's done it on the bigger stage for a longer time. 3 years ago, Gyökeres was playing for Coventry.
Who?
Gyökeres was playing for Coventry 3 years ago. Osimhen was playing for Napoli.
Yeah.
There's a bigger body of work of recognised. And again, I'm not against Gyökeres. I think United fans would be happy with either or. They're fucking upgrade, to be honest with you. Like, there's been very interesting reports over the last 2 days around United. There seems to be an angle of looking for players with a bit of bite about them. Martinez was actually, in the last 24 hours after he was seen crying, leaving the Aston Villa game, their last game at home. Bit emotional, waving to the crowd on the way out. There's been rumours of Man United or Barcelona supposedly in the mixer for him. So if you're looking at, so it looks like there's a thing of if United are looking at a player like him and Cunha, then they're probably looking at players that have a bit of bite about them and a bit of passion about them, because the team at the moment is very placid, very flat, very soft in the belly when it comes to. In the Premier League, they can't compete because they're soft.
So do you think that Liam Delap now, like that's done? Like we're not even looking at him anymore.
I think if you do it, you still go and get someone else, because he's, for me, Gyökeres. He's Highland 2. He's another sub-21 year age striker who has very little experience behind him. What United need is still need a senior striker, and they can rotate the other two lads as they see fit. And a 30 million Delap's a good signing. He's a worthwhile signing, but you could put an experience. You still have the same problem that you have with Xerxes and Hoyland. They're all around 20 to 23 years of age. They don't have a proven body of work behind them. So you're just buying another of the same box.
Yeah. Either way, if Arsenal have to try and get one of them anyway. Arsenal are so desperate for a striker, like that's got to be their number one priority this season. And I think now the owners will actually open their eyes and realise we should have gotten one last year, we should have got one the year before, we should have got one in January. It has to be their number one priority this season.
And Liverpool also, by all accounts, have money to spend. They haven't spent in the last 2 years, and they still have been sitting on the Caicedo money that they were. Remember, they went and had a bid in for 120 for Caicedo, I think it was, something in around that. And then he went to Chelsea, whatever. But they had that money to spend then, and they haven't really spent last year. So they're, by all accounts, coming in with a war chest this summer. So, Jimmy, from your perspective, this very much means obviously Darwin Núñez looks like he's going to be off and away out of Liverpool. You've got a lot of teams looking at firepower over the summer. So that's going to make drafting very interesting, I think. And it's going to make trying to figure out, do you take, like, because we always have this argument about, Joe, in the first 2 rounds of the draft, somebody buys a big name player. And it's like, how early do you shoot your load and go and grab them?
Yeah.
How early do you start picking off hype? I mean, the price tag would draw attention.
Yeah. I think a few years back, my first pick was Mkhitaryan when he fucking signed for United, and he was absolutely dog poop. But yeah, you kind of there is that. There'll be 1 or 2 players that come in, like a Gyökeres, like your Osimhen, like your I don't know, like I don't really know who else is linked to it, but there's definitely the excitement there that you want to get in there before anyone else does. And it's like, do you go with somebody who's Premier League proven, who's already like an Eze or a Mateta or someone like that, or do you go with a brand new player who could flop? You know, so.
Well, like, let's say, argument's sake, now the Cunha deal is done at United. Do you gamble on him in the first 3 rounds?
No.
In the first 3 rounds, no. I mean, like, first round, no. Second round, if he's still available by the third round, I think that he could be a good, because he's going to start for United. He's going to be their starting striker next season, 100%.
Well, he's going to be one of the 210s. He's not going to be as the number 9.
Yeah, but I think that
no.
if
you're late in the third round, if you're hitting 27, 28, 29 in the third round, yeah, maybe.
But you want 3 strikers in your team.
Yeah, but if your league isn't like shotgunning, like pew 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 pew, the first 2 drafts, first of all, your first 2 rounds. First of all, you're not us. There are certain players in our league who I have noticed are very, very hungry for the new blood. Gary tends to love a transfer in.
Gary loves the transfer
especially in January. He likes a punt. He likes to throw the banana skins in front of himself that way. I don't think third round for Cunha because shit teams don't score goals and United are a shit team. And I'm sorry, that's not. I don't see anything in the numbers that says that's going to change in the next 6 months. Even if they get better as the season goes on, they won't immediately. Like if you guys are dreaming of a 7-0 win over Liverpool at Old Trafford on the first day of the season, I've got a bridge to sell you. No, Cunha would not be an early pick for me.
It depends on the other. No. It depends on the other business United do. Like they're also linked. I know United and Newcastle are also linked with Mbuemo. Yeah. And yeah, we'll probably bring in another. I think we'll probably do about 6.
I think United are going to bring in 6 or 7. They're not all going to be players of that profile. I think they'll drop about 150 on, we'll say, the core signings, if you want to call it that, and then they'll wait for offloading before they go and purchase. It's almost as if we have an article about this over on the website, which we do.
Broadly speaking, the numbers say that you like your wide players because your wide players are allowed to play. There's very few teams that are playing route 1 or just straight through the middle or up the jumper shite. Most people are playing out wide and then knocking it back and then overlapping or underlapping or whatever it is. That's fine. That's cool. For that reason, I would have a lot more faith in Mbuemo at United, where, if nothing else, he'll have a whole chunk of the pitch to do what he does, rather than a Cunha who is relying on the entire team to feed him. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be playing like just a straight-up target man.
But Cunha's not that type. Cunha's a bit more.
He's not that type, but like
he's a maverick. He's the type who's going. Where the problem is going to come there is he's another maverick in a team of not that type of character. So he's going to want to get in the ball and run and try to do his own bits, like another kind of Garnacho-y type player. Not the same before I get fucking dragged for that comment, but you know what I mean. Like when it comes to when we're looking at drafting order next year, like Trent's gone. So he was a guarantee in the first 2 rounds. Like, let's be realistic there.
Yeah, but you always have that. I mean, Harry Kane left, and he was a guarantee.
Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah, but this year there's a bit more turnover. You're going to have Kevin De Bruyne, who's going to be gone. You're going to have, Trent, who's obviously going to be gone. And then there's going to be big business coming in. So, like, you're looking at the obvious 3 or 4 in the first couple of picks. Haaland, Salah.
Do you think De Bruyne now is gone from the Premier League? I think his time with the Premier League is up.
No. You reckon he goes to a smaller club?
Villa.
That was not much smaller.
I know. I think even like Villa are doing very well in the past few years, but I still think it's too big.
Did Villa not spend a fortune in January as well?
But they sold John Duran, so
they had the money from the 70-odd million Duran sale.
FFP is okay.
And Rashford was a loan, and by all accounts, they're not sold on him. So,
hilariously, our first round pick last year, or the start of this season, did not feature Kevin De Bruyne.
No, because he was injured at the start.
Or Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah.
Trent, I picked him in the second round.
Yeah, in the second round. It's insane that you got him in the second round, but anyway. It's shocking who didn't make the first round and unbelievable who did. Phil Foden, Dominic Solanke, both made the first round pick.
Well, Phil Foden had every right to be in the first round after the season he had before that.
Not when De Bruyne's healthy. But De
Bruyne wasn't healthy at the start of the year.
Phil Foden's best patch last season was around this time last year when they started playing him right up front, in front of someone. Was it De Bruyne? But they started playing him right up front. And he was fantastic. There was a hat-trick one of the games.
His best game is that City had been off the left-hand side.
It just didn't happen this year, did it?
It didn't happen this year, but he was hindsight's a bitch, because also Haaland being first pick didn't work out for Dean, but he should have been a nail on first pick. Everybody would have picked Haaland first pick. And then he had a class month at the start of the season and did fuck all for many other months.
I don't think there's a nailed on first pick next year. I think people will be a little bit shaky about
I don't think so either.
I think if it's anyone, it's probably Saka again. But even at that, he's a bit injury prone, and it will depend on who Arsenal buy.
The first 4 picks next year are going to be
I think if you
Bruno, Saka. It's just a matter of which order they're in.
I don't think
unless someone mental comes into the Premier League in the summer.
Bruno's a smart pick, but he's not necessarily a smart first pick.
He's a smart first pick.
He's a smart enough first pick, isn't he?
How about it, boy?
Second highest midfielder overall. Probably 3 or 4 years in the running in that kind of zone.
I think there's a more bankable first pick if you want to go down as far as midfield. If you don't have a superstar striker, if you're not in one of those slots, I think anybody passing up Jared Bowen wants their head checked. He is just absolutely phenomenal statistically and as a human being.
Over him any day of the week, but anyway.
Yeah, probably.
That's not debatable. Bruno is
10% between them.
Bruno would get into any other Premier League team. He'd get into pretty much any other team in the world. Yeah. He's 5 years on the trot getting double figures for goals and assists, which isn't exactly common.
Yeah,
it's not common. I like it.
I think whatever striker Arsenal gets would be picked ahead of Bruno. Even if they are fresh.
Depends on
there's no hope that they just hang on to Havertz and let him do his thing, because I saw he made a comeback last night.
No, he wasn't even a fucking. He's not even a striker. He's just the only real option that they have. He was a mid.
They bought him to play as a midfielder. He kind of. Do you know what he is? He's one of those players that kind of doesn't really have a home. He's kind of like a 10, kind of like an 8, kind of like a 9. He's a decent footballer, but he doesn't really have a home.
But he just doesn't seem like comfortable in that position. I feel like he knows himself as well that he's there because there's nobody else really to put there. Look how
Marino has done up front for them. If you put an actual striker up front in that team, there's a chance that they go and do something.
But he only came in because Havertz was injured, didn't he?
Well, they had no other forwards. No other forwards because I think Saka was also injured at the time. Yeah. And it was like in Marino and Trossard was the front three or something along that kind of lines. And they had that was literally what they had to play with. And Marino did very well, despite being one of the many number 6s that Mikel Arteta has bought in his time as Arsenal manager. I genuinely think if you put a competent forward in that team, like if they got Ollie Watkins, that's huge. If they get Ed Alexander-Isak, that's huge.
Yeah, but what's Isaac goes? How long does he have his contract? I wonder. Isaac could be 100. He will be 100 million minimum.
You just named
just the kind of numbers that he put in. The kind of numbers he put in this season are just obscene. I don't see Luke. If he has more than 2 years after his contract, I could see it'd be $100 million deal or pound deal even.
That's 2 players who could
23 goals and 6 assists in 33 games. It's crazy.
They could reasonably be considered the one-man show at their respective clubs when it comes to goal scoring. Not when it comes to everything. Newcastle have a rather good squad, and Villa have had a good squad at times. But in terms of putting the thing in the hole, those are 2 men who I imagine neither of their respective clubs will want to say goodbye to unless it's for fucking silly money.
Yeah, but then as soon as Marcus Rashford came in, Watkins was demoted to the bench after about 4 or 5 games.
And which he was pissed about and then went on and scored.
Yeah, but it's kind of a weird one that they put the whole
really, the first half of the season, John Duran was looking tasty and was kind of there was debate whether it was Watkins.
He was an impact sub though. But for most games, Duran was an impact sub, but you could count on him coming on in a lot of games and scoring off the bench. I don't think he was, at least for this season, I don't think he was really talented.
It's a shame. I'm sad to see him in Saudi because I would have seen how he could progress over the next.
He came out of nowhere. This season, I'd never even heard of him before. He just seemed to come out of nowhere.
Second season with the club, they'd bought him from. I'm not even going to make myself sound stupid, but for pennies, basically. But he'll be able to. He's on the kind of contract there where at the age of 25 he can come back to Europe and have a truckload of money and basically go, "I'll play football for the crack." Which in that it's almost like a little work experience thing there. Go punt around the league, get a fortune of money, and then he can come back and rock up in Italy, Spain, Germany, and just kind of pick and choose where he wants to play for the rest of his career because he's not chasing money because he'll have lots and lots of money.
Chicago Fire is where he came from.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's somewhere a bit out the wind. It wasn't like it was a Fiorentina or a Frankfurt. They just kind of went, "Ooh, that guy. Let's have a bit of that." He did well.
Do you think Ronaldo will get a club for the Club World Cup? Do you think someone will give him like a 1 month or 2 month contract?
Yeah.
So that who do you think? Who do you think? Think he go to City of Palace?
It's not even that.
Where would he go? I wonder. American club? Well, he can't really go. Well, actually, the Club World Cup is on in America, isn't it? Okay, maybe he
You
won't.
could see him
Anyway,
up
moving
beside Messi and just doing the one time only, the two boys on the pitch together.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to pull it off, it's going to be David Beckham.
Yeah.
Call a spade. Like that's not going to happen. That's fantasy land shit. But like whatever.
Yeah, that would be cool though. Yeah, it's something that we all want to see.
There's a lot of stuff to be said about. I'm not even going to talk about the Club World Cup. It sickens me. Like whoever wins that gets 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and there's, but yeah, that's the prize for winning this magical little fake trophy that they've created.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
Really cool trophy.
Okay, so Club World Cup. Who plays in that from England?
A random selection of clubs from around the world. So you've got like even some invitational teams. This is why the format pisses me off, because like Inter Miami are an invitational team, and it's like, oh, why? Oh, because they have Lionel Messi and he'll sell tickets.
Oh, it's that kind of game.
What happened with it? What happened with
They're
not in it anymore.
They're an invite team as well, but I think they also won something to make it even semi-relevant.
But I think like the reason that there was talks Ronaldo having a temporary contract was because Al Hilal are no longer.
No,
it is
he plays for Al Nassr,
right? Okay, so I was talking about them. So they were
Al Hilal are going. The team he plays for isn't, and obviously what they don't want happening is him rocking up for the other side, the team that Neymar played for. For the club, so they'll probably sign him to a new contract after the fact. But yeah, the Club World Cup is basically a mix match of a bunch of clubs from around the world, where FIFA basically get their little Super Cup. It's like, here, we're just going to invite a bunch of teams every couple of years for 4 years to play in a Club World Cup and decide who's the best club in the world. And it's fair, but also this is just more football and players that are already strained. But from our perspective, what it means is that clubs want to get business done early. There's a special dispensation transfer window, which is why Madrid did the deal for Huijsen when they did, because they can have him in the squad for that competition. Same reason why they want to get the Trent deal done, so he's available to play in this competition. So you'll
that means way more of the big name stuff, because this is the big name clubs. So the big name moves are going to be earlier in the window.
Yep.
Oh, I hate it.
Madrid are doing their business now, so that they can basically take their team on their post-season tour / pre-season fucking tune-in.
This is why we lose Trent Alexander and Milad Huijsen for the end of the season, because FIFA have a new fucking party and they're just going to invite all the cool kids, and there's no qualification process. And some people can come to sell jerseys, and some people can come because they're rich, and some people can come because they won things. I'm looking at the list of teams. I hate this thing already.
Yeah, but we're going to watch it in the summer. And Jimmy, I know you're going to hate what I'm going to say next, but I think we're going to have to do a Slug draft from the Club World Cup.
Sorry, John. My head went through a tunnel just there. I didn't hear you for the last 10 seconds. You've just thrown a surprise draft on me. A manual draft. Yeah, cool. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Let me just pull several complex spreadsheets out of my ass. No problem, my friends. No problem. If there is call for it, I will make it happen. Specify call from anyone but John. Chelsea are they the only ones? Chelsea and City are the only ones from England going to this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't remember the criteria of how it works.
I could make a guess.
League winners.
City are the Premier League winners.
I would get us in legal trouble if I made a guess. I'm just saying that money and oil are a great mix.
Well, City are also the Premier League champions. They won the treble last year, or not last year, 2 years ago. Like they're if you're going to invite a team to the Club World Cup, it's probably the most successful team over the last decade, regardless of how they've gone about their business. But they were always going to be there. Real Madrid are obviously going to be there.
I'm just surprised that any of this exists, and I think it should be yeeted into the sun.
But we're going to watch it. But it means,
it.
from our perspective, we get big teams doing business early in the summer. It'll help us have a look at our drafting for next year. It's going to probably cause carnage in the league because we're going to see players move around quicker. I think we're going to see more transfers done this summer because, let's face it, if the team that's not Real Madrid or City wins that trophy, they've now got a wedge of cash to spend in June.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, because the window would still be open. Yeah, okay. No, okay, so this may not be all bad. I'm literally only thinking of this in terms of fantasy football. And it is a nice, shiny looking trophy, but I don't give a shit who wins it. It would be interesting, though, to see bigger names suddenly all this end of summer, or this side of summer, and then the smaller stuff. It would kind of put a bit of a kibosh on the old deadline day fun.
Well, deadline's been dead for a while, if we're going to be honest. It's been a while since.
Yeah, but we know that several teams are going out spending this year. We know United are going out spending. We know that Liverpool probably will go out and spend. One would assume that Spurs will at some point spend all of that money they have.
No, they don't.
Arsenal
are going to
shopping. So it would have been likely to be a big window. But yeah, no, cool. Look, we have more football during the summer. I get to watch Chelsea players. There's not many of those.
I'm going to do a little bit of a thing, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Whatever you want to do it.
No, I'm just going to say, basically, we have a whole pile of content over on the site right now. I have an article that will be posted probably at some stage tonight, maybe tomorrow morning. Keep an eye out for that. Tomorrow morning. Keep an eye out for that because I have looked at every Premier League team's out-of-contract players in the summer. Some are quite interesting. So you have a team like Everton who actually has 10 players out of contract in the summer. And then you have other teams like Chelsea who only do, shock and horror, they do death row contracts and they've only one player out of contract in the summer whose name is beyond me. I've never heard of him. No appearances for Chelsea, and he's being released. You know, that kind of way. But anyway, I've looked at all of the out of contract players. We have the Premier League 11 of the year up there at the moment. There's a couple of interesting little picks, I believe. We obviously have our sleepers. Gary's working on an article of the overperformers and underperformers of the season. And yeah, there's a whole pile of content going up there. We're obviously, myself and Jimmy had a little day trip there yesterday with our new mascot, the unnamed mascot, who we'll talk about more in detail another day. And we were going out getting his first contracts and content, and hopefully we'll be seeing more of the punishment crocodile in the near future.
And he'll have a better name too, but that all depends on everybody listening. More on that later. Twiddle, twiddle goes the moustache. No, we'd love the all day out. If you've ever got the opportunity in 26-degree heat to put on an inflatable crocodile suit and then dive around the place like pretending you're a goalie for the first time in about 35 years, go for it. It was like a sauna of fun. But great crack, and we will be seeing more from him soon, and you'll be hearing lots more about that very soon, but not just yet, my friends. Oh no.
We're running shorter tonight because the Premier League in week 37 is nothing happening. Not much to talk about. We're going to have a lot more to talk about, I think, over the next few weeks. We're going to have the Europa League winner. We're going to have the pomp and ceremonies of the final day of the season. And then it's all gearing up to what's happening in the summer, the drop of the biggest game title you're ever going to see, aka us. Keep an eye on that. Yes, that was way too punchy. I hated that. But anyway,
next year Rockstar can have next year. We're taking this year. They pushed GTA 6 out to next year because this summer is out.
Well, but that's why they pushed it out, isn't it? Rumor has it GTA 6 was pushed out to May 26 to accommodate the launch of the Statr Fantasy Football app, which will. Basically, once the Premier League season ends, we're going to be moving at 100 miles an hour, prepping for next year and getting our fucking sexy new game out in front of all you people. So there's a waiting list. Jimmy, there's a waiting list.
There's a waiting list, and it is over at statterdraft.com, or you could scan the QR code that I'm not wearing right now, but maybe John is. Wait, it's on his back, people. There he is. Look at him go. If you can see that, scan it. Yeah, hold it there, Jay. Hold it there. Now, that's the one. folks, if you're watching, scan that. That'll take you straight during the waiting list, where we will be keeping in touch with you. You will have opportunities to play the game ahead of most others, and we will be keeping you abreast of all that is going on. And on your way there, you will spot some fantabulous articles and previous episodes of this podcast. But wonderful articles written by the amazing Gary, the illustrious John, and me. And it's fun, and it's a good read, whether you're on the jacks or on a bus. It's nice bite-sized articles in some places. We've got some of the meaty analysis stuff, but it's all there, and it's all fairly lighthearted, and it's all fairly easy to digest. So head on over to have a rip, and when it inevitably enrages you, tell us all about it on social media. We feed on your rage, like all social media feeds on outrage clicks. We do too, but we're really nice about it. Fuck Real Madrid, and so head on over to statterdraft.com.
And on that note, Crystal Palace had a better season than Arsenal. Good night, everybody.